Welcome to Codes of Harmony. So, yet again, I have been interrupted, but of course it's not an interruption, it's actually a perfect diversion, and it's meant to be, as always. I'm not sure if the audio is right, but Code Mira is playing in the background, if you can hear that. If you've been on my channel before or seen any of my light codes with my hands, you'll possibly recognize. So this is going to be a very unusual. First of all, I acknowledge your ancestors, my ancestors, and the ancestors of the ground on which I stand. This is not going to be a tarot reading. It's not going to be your average tarot reading, but as I was saying, the Mercury retrograde video has been interrupted again or diverted, or because basically I've just been getting so many channeled messages that it's like, it's incredible. But they seem to be changing pace, and the entire way that I normally receive messages and the timeline that the messages can be unraveled, let's say, seems to be changing ever since I clicked record on my first video on this channel. So that's a very good sign. This is going to be for no one in particular in terms of signs, but for anybody who has had volcanoes coming up. For me, volcanoes have been coming up in my meditations. I started seeing them in meditations maybe about 3 weeks ago, and then had them come up in a reading on the channel Codes of Harmony, where you are now. Come up in 2, maybe even 3 readings in the last week. And so yeah, I just wanted to try and first of all continue to open up to this very process itself, to still find the spaces, safe spaces, and in terms of the amount to share, the amount to include, and like also just for me not to be frustrated or disappointed or any kind of negative feelings around. Just trying. Yeah, welcome to my messy studio. Around any kind of messy. Sorry. So incense is on, candle is on. Yeah, basically that this channel isn't going to be your average tarot channel, and that which actually isn't that surprising considering me, who I am, but also like in this kind of job, in this kind of role, it's just kind of so broad, like it's so completely broad spectrum of what I see, what I'm shown, the messages I receive privately from my guides, as well as what seems to be, it's almost like now they know that I've started this channel, which will have hardly anybody looking at it for a while, which is also interesting to me, because I feel like that's also leaving room to grow and expand. So volcanoes. Um, so I was trying to think. So I had a dear friend who made a series of artworks. I'm sure they won't mind me mentioning it here because they're amazing and beautiful. A series of artworks about volcanoes and violence and anger and rage, particularly to do with stuff in the past. And that's kind of an image that I guess a lot of people might associate, or I guess it's a term that gets used around anger, around bottling things up, around keeping things in until they become like a volcano and erupt. And I was like, so is it just about anger? Because I do have a lot of my own thoughts and feelings around toxic positivity in the spiritual community. And so I was like, is it just about anger within the collective? Is it about anger within me? Is it about anger within some of the people that are going to be tuning into my readings? Is it about the race or that is going on? Is it about the anger at what has occurred over the last few years? And then it kind of started revealing itself more and more, and I started seeing visions of the volcano in different ways, as well as in a lot of my meditations, I see this is the thing, I'm still literally watching me learn and open up and work out how to and how much to be a channel for this channel in terms of are these global messages that everyone needs to hear or wants to hear? Or could these be specific things that are meant for one person to hear, maybe me? And then I started, because as I said before, I'm a bit of a nerd. A sassy, spicy nerd, but a nerd all the same. I love to research. I love to learn. I love the power of the mind, and the power of the mind to create and trigger emotional growth and strength, and of the mind to be able to grow in its capacity for compassion via learning and understanding more about other people, other cultures, other places, and other times. So I started seeing the volcanoes in different places and different times. I also started to see what was occurring around those volcanoes at that time. I'm a First Nations woman, a medicine woman. That's part of my calling. That's part of what I'm doing here. So you're also watching me work out how to speak in this colonizer's tongue to you, people who mostly and largely are not going to be Aboriginal, Indigenous from so-called Australia. But medicine woman knowledge is eternal and timeless. Healing knowledge is, healing capacity is such as there's a lot of energies also trying to stop light workers at this time. There's a lot of complex battles going on, let's say it that way. So just got some bits and pieces here together. I've got some oracles. I've got a few tiny notes that I made, or channeled, I should say. Got an art book or two, so I'm also thinking of experimenting here with this thing that I only have ever done in private readings before, which is when I have a book and I kind of look away from the book and flick through it and then use my other hand to choose a page. Thinking of doing that, I was drawn to pull out the World of Vermeer, which was a specific painter. And of course, Rider Waite is here, always waiting to write. And just some objects as well that may help. And I will attempt to share with you what I experienced last night to a certain degree. I can share this with you all, which is that my channeling is affected by storms. It's affected in a way of becoming heightened, in a way of my capacity suddenly just being tripled, quadrupled, whatever. And so I got channeling about the volcano, and I had this energy. So it's like I meet the energy, but I also channel them. I actually, it's like they can speak through me, which is actually how I learnt about my gifts of light language. This is just very, very vulnerable to be doing this, but it's going to happen. It's going to happen eventually. It may as well happen right now. And I'm being drawn to share this because it seems like it could also hold potential warnings for anybody, obviously, who lives near a volcano, anybody involved in any of the places or subjects that I mentioned, as well as a larger environmental warning for everyone, for the whole collective, for the whole environment. And of course, these things are as above, so below. These things are also reflections of what's happening inside of us individually. Okay. I'm just recentering myself, calling in protection over this space. Opening up the channel once again, but in a way that will be accessible by those watching this video, through messages around the volcano. You may be feeling like a volcano. This can be something that you might just resonate with from an emotional standpoint. And just a heads up, if I do start channeling light language, I am going to just turn off the video because I am not at this stage ready to share that. And there's my throat chakra. I keep being drawn to mention the fact that I'm an esoteric artist. Maybe because that will also be reflected in my videos, or because the place of artist at the moment is very significant and important. Okay, the King of Wands is out. The Three of Pentacles is spinning. The World card is hovering above us. The Queen of Pentacles is counting her losses and waiting for winter to end. Okay, so this is a new way of channeling. Great. The Five of Swords is mending the lies. The Ten of Swords is a bittersweet goodbye. A volcano's roar is the sound of an opening door. The King of Pentacles knows where the lacking is. Seven of Wands has already begun. The Two of Cups will keep you afloat. The channeling I saw last night included the ocean, and I was on a boat, a wooden boat, and the energy that I met was a woman, or a divine feminine energy. It was, at first I thought she was scary. She had a lot of very powerful energy and very, I just at first felt which is unusual for me when I'm in this state of channeling, in this particular state of channeling. I don't need to talk about that. And then anyways, I realized she was actually funny and that she was being playful. But she's like the kind of auntie that, like, ruffles your hair and, smacks you on the back in a way that shocks you, but then you turn around, she's smiling. They're showing me the Wheel of Fortune at the core of the earth, spinning and spiraling, as the wheel should do. Flashes of red, sparks of gold. The Two of Wands is the time we're in now. There's only two ways to go. It's not that profound. You choose in or out. You choose here or then. You choose a future. You choose where you spend. You choose to unravel truth or lies. You choose to look below the gravel or shut your eyes. If you've never seen anybody channel before, or don't know anything about light codes or light language, you're welcome to pause this video and go research and come back. This feels unusual or strange to you or uncomfortable, it probably means that your higher self isn't ready for this particular for these codes at this time. And of course, to those waiting, which is Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces, for the Mercury retrograde communication videos. I know you understand. Thank you. The volcano, the volcano, the volcano. Okay, no. They want me to. Okay, so the sentence that I channeled. The sentence that I channeled. A string of islands is like a string of shells. Each one is different and the same. She started speaking of Hawaii, the being who I met last night, the strong feminine energy, and the visions of being on the ocean. She started talking of Hawaii. She said, I was always at the back of the boat. She kept wanting to dance. She kept wanting me to dance. Which is something that happens with lots of people on their channel. That there's a need to move or shift energy. Also that, it's like different beings kind of want to have a stretch, they want to, that's another video. So this might be a little bit confronting, and if anybody happens to have Hawaiian heritage or be from Hawaii, I've said this is totally a general video made with really good intention and full respect. But she was basically talking about, she was referencing or trying to basically say Hawaii is a lie. And another thing she said is, I cooked up Hawaii for breakfast. And I think by that she was saying, I'm a very old spirit. I'm a very old being. And there is a history that runs for long before we realize. And I think she was referencing that what we know as Hawaii is only a fraction of a much longer, larger history that I actually really don't know about. Like my 3D self, my conscious self doesn't actually know about. So I'll also definitely say that. Obviously, on YouTube, we always remind people that this is just a video for entertainment purposes. Do with it what you will. Follow your own guidance, intuition, guides, ancestors. Anyone who's been following my work recently also know that I started channeling messages about salt last week, I think it was. So I'm not sure, but I feel like this could be a connection to that as well. So I'm probably going to have to watch them again. So I don't want to get into like the political potential of what this, quote unquote, political potential what these messages are or mean. I hear Mother Earth hurting and crying, and that is that's the only agenda that I'm really that interested in at this time. Obviously, as well as people ascending, um, because they're the same thing, right? Um, she was laughing a lot. She was cheeky, and she was singing a song that, yeah, it filled my heart. Is all I can say at this time. And I'm hoping that this will expand into more, but um, she was talking to me about this in response to the volcanoes coming through in the readings and in meditation, in visions and daydreams and astrals. And I, as a child, had, dreams and visions of things that are happening now. So that's something that I think a lot of light workers and mediums and oracles are going through at this time, as well as people who aren't, and they just realize that they've been having, prophetic dreams for much of their life, or maybe just when they were younger before they were told to stop them. And reminding myself to breathe, to take my time. Everything is happening as it's meant to. And if I feel so guided to share this, that it will be for good. If you know anybody who does live in Hawaii, please send them this video. You have not come across this for no reason. So I started looking into volcanoes. And the first thing that came up, the most recent, so basically I realized that on November of this year, and I don't know how I missed it, but on November of this year, the largest active volcano in Hawaii, I'll read it out to you, but erupted. And it's the first time that it did in 40 years. I'm going to read you a little bit now from volcanoes. Okay, this is by Mana Lau. Well, that can't make sense. That's the name of the. Someone's made a mistake. Sorry. They couldn't be named after the volcano. That would be too loud. Mauna Lau, spelled Mauna, Lau, Loa. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. Volcano began erupting in Moku Awao caldera on November 27th, 2022 at approximately 11:30 p.m. By 6:30 a.m. on November the 28th, the eruption had migrated to the upper northeast rift zone. Lava flows extended 12 miles, that's 19 kilometers, from the vents in the northeast direction before the eruption ended on December the 10th. Which really weirdly basically runs into when I started this channel. I'm gonna have to go back and look now. at the first day that I launched. Maybe that was the 1st of December, was it? I'm a channel, I'm a channel, I am an open channel, I am a protected channel, I'm a guided channel. Several lava flows traveled in a northeast direction. The longest and largest lava flow issued from a particular location. This lava flow crossed the Mauna Loa Weather Observatory Road at approximately 8 p.m. November 28th. Lava flows extended 12 miles. Um, just opening up routers, just a website. The world's largest active volcano began erupting on Sunday for the first time since 1984, which also happens to be the year before I was born, ending its longest quiet period in recorded history. The night sky above Hawaii's largest island, I just got the weirdest deja vu. The largest island glowed a hellish red as bright hot lava sprang forth at the volcano's summit at around 11:30 p.m. local time on Sunday. And again, this was in November. The lava is contained within the summit and does not threaten Hawaiians living downslope for now, the US Geological Service said. The service warned residents on Monday that volcanic gases and fine ash may drift their way. Mauna Loa rises 13,679 feet above the Pacific Ocean, part of the chain of volcanoes that form the islands of Hawaii. It last erupted in March and April of 1984. That could have been a significant time for you, if you're alive then, or maybe your family. I'm also going to look into those months and see what was kind of happening. Particularly to do with the environment, as well as First Nations people and land care. Sending the flow of lava within 5 miles or 8.5 kilometers of Hilo, the island's largest city. Hawaii's emergency management agency said it had opened 2 shelters on the island as a precaution, but also emphasized that there are no signs that lava will threaten populated areas and that it had not issued any evacuation orders. It's really difficult to say for some reason. Oh, there's these incredible pictures they've got. There's this picture of a car just covered in ash right up to almost to the roof. So you can just see the kind of the tops of the window. The next one is a volcano of somewhere in Russia, taken on November the 20th, 2022. How have I missed all these volcanoes erupting? In November, so what do we say? Sorry, I'm not good with numbers, as I'm sure it's evident. pronunciation, numbers. I'm dyslexic. I got it all. But what date did we say that the November the 28th? I'm just going to write this down. So, welcome for a peek inside of the mind's eye of a sage, a cyber sage. So, November 28th was Hawaii. And that was the first time in 40 years. November 28th, 2022. And then just at the bottom, like, you know, at the bottom of the screen when they're like, oh, you'd also be interested in this. There is other pictures of volcanoes in 2022. Okay, so this one in Russia happened on the 20th of November. Russia. So where was the first one? Oh, okay. So it looks like, so there's also the first one that I was talking about, that I'm looking at, that they're showing me here, says a vehicle is seen buried in the ash from the Combra Veja volcano in Las Manchas neighborhood on the Canary. It's funny because I use canaries in my artwork a lot. Like I identify a lot with why am I awkward about saying this? Fuck off, ego. I've connected and resonated with the idea of being a canary in a mine trying to warn people. And I think a lot of light workers, sages, oracles, starseeds have had this lived experience of trying to tell people around them what was coming or what was going to happen. You know, because a canary, they used to, well, in some places they still do, take a canary in a cage down into the mine. And then if there's something wrong with the air, which happens a lot, if you go too far, like basically if you go too far underground in a tunnel and there's not the right amount of airflow, and there's particularly if there's people working down there, then you can the airflow came up in another reading. The air can become toxic and poisonous, which is a bit like when the ash is in the air. And the canary will warn the miners by starting to sing a certain sound. So that's January 20. So January 2022, sorry. January 2022, Canary Island in Spain. Also been thinking a lot about grid work, speaking a bit about grid work as well. If this is boring or too random for you, then I take no offense in you going and finding another tarot reading or whatever, or a more conventional form of channeling. That's really annoying. Why is that flashing? So, January 2022, Canary Islands, Spain, volcano eruption. Then we have a view shows the Shivluk Shivluk volcano on the Kambatka, no idea, Peninsula, Russia, November 20, 2022. Kamchatka Peninsula. And that the one in Russia is surrounded by ice. So it's quite startling to see that it's kind of like, this hot red molten lava spewing out of a volcano, which is actually kind of surrounded by, it's almost like a crater, but it's mountains, I think, or peninsula, I guess. And it's all on stark white snow, and then this really bright orangey fiery red. And there are points where it's piercing through the snow. November 16, 2022. The Villarica volcano is seen at night from Villarica area, Chile, on November the 16th. Okay, Chile. It's 1, 2, 3 volcanic eruptions in 2022. One was in Spain, one was in Russia, one was in Chile. The one in Spain was in January, the one in Russia, and the one in Chile, and the one in Hawaii were all in November. This November just gone. What? Okay, this is mind blowing. I'm looking at a photograph that says underneath it, whoa. I'm looking at a photograph. Okay. I'm gonna get myself the eruption of an underwater volcano off Tonga, which triggered a tsunami warning for several South Pacific island nations, is seen in the image. On January the 15th. So Canary Islands, Spain, in January, as well as an underwater, and this is incredible. Go look at this. It makes complete sense because I understand the way that the tectonic plates under the ocean work. But I've never looked or knew that there were underwater volcanoes and that they can erupt, which also makes sense because, okay, stay focused. Tonga, January the 15th. Tonga. And of course, the the being that I was channeling last night and conversing with last night was talking about the islands, and I'm not sure exactly. I know that there's a series of islands that make up Hawaii itself, but I think that I think the whole thing that she was trying to explain to me, as well as opening a door to a conversation with me about, was that there is a history of Hawaii that we don't know about, and that there is a lesson from the past that we're missing because history has been recorded by white men, essentially. Did I lose my... Sorry, I'm just... I'm sure that I do. Sorry. Okay, yeah. I'm just going to sip some of this peach juice from a giant peach jar. Yeah. I find when I'm in like a heavy download or like really intense, like full-on channeling, like I do different sorts, but this sort of where I'm at now, eating fruit seems to help a lot. Also after ceremonies. Okay, so y'all just got to see me learn about underwater volcanoes. Very fucking cool. If you didn't catch my earlier videos, today I'm making an effort to show my beautiful hands. Not a special effort, but just kind of breaking the ice, as they say. Okay, I'm going to look at 2 more of these images and then do more research later. And I will come back to you as these codes continue to come through and I decode. Okay, now I'm looking at an image that says lava oozes from a fissure. I never know how to say that, and I only know it really from a medical point of view, I think. Near, I definitely can't say that. Volcano, Reykjavik, Iceland. In a screen grab obtained from a video taken on August the 3rd. So then we have August the 3rd. Obviously, I'm being guided to read out these numbers and do all this in front of the camera, meaning that these could have specific important, they could be specific things that you should look back on from 2022, or they could also be significant dates coming up for you in 2023. If you work at all with the environment, please reach out to me if you have any extra insight or receive kind of guidance or downloads yourself. And if you can let me know, I'm going to look into it further. But if there has been an increase of volcanic eruptions during 2022 specifically. Um, and yeah, she's keeps going on about Hawaii. But she's very like funny and but brash as well. Like she's got a very brash energy about her. Um, Excuse me, like I'm just trying to feel comfortable in my body. Because I also feel like this is really old. These codes are ancient, kind of being unearthed. So August the 3rd, Iceland. Okay. Now I'm looking at one that says general view of an eruption of the southeast volcano of Etna, as seen from Nicolosa, Italy, in February of 2022. Italy. Tonga, Canary Islands, Spain, Russia, Chile, Iceland, Italy, Hawaii. I remember, I'm thinking now of the fires that swept through my own land, as well as Italy, if I'm not wrong, Greece, maybe. I'm looking at a photograph of a house and a car in Tonga, taken on January 16, 2022. And there's a white and black dog sitting on top of a car, and another dog nearby, and the car is just covered in ash, like a thick film of ash. Another one of Canary Island off La Palma, Spain. Now I'm looking at a photograph of ash from the underwater volcanic eruption in Tonga, and it's visible from the International Space Station. That's phenomenal. I mean, how can that not be a warning to us? All right. Okay, so who knows how long I've been yarning for? Let me check. Wow. Okay. So 54, 50. Thanks for being here with me if you still are. Um, I need to get my crystal oracle, and I'm going to ask for some guidance as to what this all means, as to what I was being shown. What's the purpose of this message, this video, these codes coming through me here, now, at this time, with you. Upright, which is actually a stone I've never seen in real life myself, I don't think. It's purple, which is a color I've been channeling a lot recently as I work on my crown chakra and being open to the full potential of my crown chakra. I'm telling you my story because it's a message, yeah. And it's not about me doubting my intuition or my guidance or my connection with divinity. It is about my opening up and allowing those channeled messages and those codes to come through without fear, worry, concern, or even really letting myself be affected by the reaction of those who may hear. And the message that this card comes with is a rites of passage. Underneath, we have Numite, which is the stone of the healer. If you're watching this, I would say that you're some kind of healer too, in your own way. Wow, thanks for being like really emotional. Spirit, that's great. Okay. Please give me clear and divine guidance, be most beneficial for everyone involved. Volcano, the volcano. Tell me what the volcano means. What do the volcanoes mean? They're showing me lots of things. Okay. I feel like I'm on a boat. I feel like I'm rocking back and forward. Luckily I don't get seasick. Another thing she says, we sing songs to pass the tides, not the time. the sunstone, which really has a lot of colors that are kind of like a volcano. And the message that this card speaks of, or the property that this crystal holds, or stone, is one of empowerment. Volcano, let your rage be a power for good, not for evil. Let your fire warm those around you, not burn and fray the edges. There may be something that's about to happen with volcanoes, with sea levels. That's always something that's happening, a horrible situation. It may be a volcano within you, within your family, within your home, within your work, within your soul, within your practice, within your craft, within your mind, within your heart. As above, so below. Thank you for being here, and thank you to my guides and my ancestors, to the divine, powerful, empowering Hawaiian female energy that I was so privileged to share time with last night during the storm, the thunderstorm that kept coming. And thank you for looking under the surface. Lots of love from Codes of Harmony.